Have we started, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
Yes! Hello, everybody! We are waiting for Raymond. So today we're doing a bake-along live with Raymond. He's in LA, so it's quite a big time difference, why we're doing it 8 o'clock tonight in the UK, and I think it's about lunchtime in LA. I've got no idea what time it is on the east coast of America. I'm wearing this for Raymond. This is for him. Is he joining?
Yeah, one sec.
Of course, I've got the wonderful Nick helping us today. He's going to be answering any questions. So if people have got questions, I don't have to be like struggling to see and read them, and neither does Raymond. Nick will ask us the questions. So please, if you do have any for us, just type them up. Type them up. I'm not sure that's the right phrase. The recipe we're doing today is quite simple. It's also, I've had a lot of people asking for vegan and gluten-free recipes, so this one ticks both boxes. It's to be one of my favourite recipes because I love anything that's flavoured with bitter almond.
Did you spell amaretti with a double T? Oh, here we go.
Hi, David.
Hey!
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
It's great to see you. I love your t-shirt. That's incredible.
This is for you. It also is...
Oh, thank you. I feel like I should have shown out. I have a little jacket that I'll put on when we're done to celebrate our finishing the bake, and it's going to be very rainbow as well.
Nice. This one, I did wear this on one of the weeks, and I can't remember which one.
I remember. Oh, I'm a super fan of Great British Bake Off, so I was very geeked out when you DM'd me and asked if I wanted to do this. We're going to have fun.
Yes. Okay, I haven't properly introduced you, Raymond. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
As an activist, I think the list would be too long. It would be activist, advocate, media personality, influencer, YouTuber, everything. Everything LGBTQ+.
I would just say storytelling. I like sharing people's stories, and I think that the more stories that we can tell from our community and from anyone who's historically not been as represented in media, the more that we can create change. So whether it's through documentaries or through content on social media, television, I just try to lift up different people's stories and start important conversations.
Do you know, that's really interesting.
One thing, can I tell you though, one thing that I am not is a baker. I'm nervous right now because this is the, I think, third or fourth time in my entire life that I've ever baked. This is really embarrassing to admit, but David and I were talking before this, and I said, I've lived in this apartment for 3 years, and I probably used the oven twice. I had to make sure I knew how to properly turn it on. So this is gonna be very interesting, but I appreciate you picking a recipe that's quite simple, and we'll see. I have to show you. I bought these gloves for my knife skills that I'm gonna be putting on just in case, you know, things get a little dodgy. So.
And you've seen that on Bake Off, there's quite a lot of injuries with knives, etc.
Exactly.
People being nervous, and then also having really sharp knives for the start of the series.
Yes.
So yeah, you might be better with some kind of gloves.
Okay.
I don't know. I think
okay, I'll glove up that.
Easy. So we are going to make a soft amaretti biscuit. Are they popular in the States?
Pardon?
Are they popular in the States?
I think so. I think anything that you'd make would be popular, but yes, I've had them before, and I was excited when you shared the recipe. I love that you also focus on trying to use healthier ingredients. I think now more than ever, we need to be focused on taking care of our bodies and making sure that what we're putting into them is top notch. So I love that it's going to be sweet, but also healthy.
Yeah, exactly. I love using nuts and things like that. In terms of making it vegan, normally these are made with egg whites. So they're kind of like a sweet Italian biscuit. It's very soft. It's not like, it doesn't have a nice snap or anything. And normally, yeah, you use egg white, like kind of for marzipan as well. But someone found out that chickpea water whisks up just like egg white, which is very strange.
Sounds delicious.
That's what we're using today. It's also because it smells like chickpeas, but then you don't taste it when you make the bakes. You don't have one of these, do you?
I don't know.
One of the
I have a fork and I have a blender.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is, my theory with this is that normally with amaretti biscuits, you whisk up the egg whites till they're peaky, which you've seen a million times on Bake Off. My theory is you don't need to do that because then you fold in all of these kind of heavier ingredients, and then they end up being these kind of like balls of stuff. So I think we're going to try
all that stuff today.
You're going to be a guinea pig. You're going to just do it in your blender, and I'm going to whisk it in this, if that's okay. So we're going to start doing that first. So
okay, I actually have my first question for you. I'm going to be learning a lot. I got low sodium and regular. I was wondering if you have a preference.
Go low sodium.
Okay.
Try that. Mine doesn't say either, so I don't really know.
All right.
Someone else actually.
Open it here. Your kitchen setup is so beautiful. I was like trying to figure out where to put my phone, but I have a wall right behind where my phone is right now, so I'm gonna try to like hold up my things as I'm doing it, but I think you're the expert here, so okay. Oh, and I don't have a whisk either. All right.
Yes, you're gonna do yours in the blender and just make it so it's a bit frothy.
Okay. You're so professional. I don't have all that equipment, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna whisk mine out just using my fork and measure it out in my measuring cup here.
Can you still hear me okay?
Yes, I can. It's moving so fast though. I'm a little bit behind you.
So. Okay. Well, this is going to take a while anyway.
Okay, great. Well, I did my conversions. So for any Americans watching, what we're doing is 75 milliliters of chickpea juice. So I'm just going to drain mine manually using a fork right into my cups right here. Okay.
You know what? Doing this as trying to whisk this up is way too loud. So I'm just going to go with you and not whisk it at all.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a couple chickpeas. This actually looks exactly like egg whites too.
Yeah. Also,
I'm doing it very professionally with a with a fork.
I thought it's good. I think that's fine.
Thank you. Manually as well then. Sorry, you cut out for a second, David.
I'm not even going to whisk mine. I'm just gonna have mine as watery.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't need to use my blender then?
No, don't bother. Let's just do these like that. Oh, we need to preheat our ovens. We need to put the oven on.
My oven is already heated.
Oh. Ew.
It is.
That's good.
By the way, to anyone who's just joining, David and I are making amaretti biscuits. Yeah. And we're gonna do, once they're baking, we're gonna do a little bit of an open Q&A. I think we're both trying to get our ingredients together, so we don't see all the questions coming in, but stay with us because we're gonna have like a little chit chat too as we get moving. Okay.
Yeah, this next bit's quite easy. So, by the way, I'm actually only doing half because I realized I didn't have enough ground almonds to do the full recipe, so I'm doing half the recipe. And some recipes you can't just half, but this is one of the ones that you can just easily half. You can do quarter it, you can double it. It doesn't make any difference at all. So we've got 75 mils of the chickpea water, and we're going to add in the 200 grams of ground almonds. I also posted up an American version of these quantities, but yeah.
So the 200 grams of ground almonds for all of our American viewers converts to about 0.85 cups. So I'm going to take, are ground almonds the same as almond flour? Because that's what I bought.
Yes, as far as I know, they're the same thing, yeah. And then we're going to add also 125 grams of sugar. We call it caster sugar, like the very fine sugar.
Okay. So are you just kind of eyeballing it then?
Oh, see, I've
done this enough to know how much it should look like.
No, I've got the scales here.
Oh, I don't have a scale.
I'd already weighed out my ground almonds because I was checking how much I had.
Okay, great. I'm doing the kind of like DIY version at home if you don't have all of the equipment that David does. So I don't have a scale. I'm just measuring mine out in a basic measuring cup.
This is good because these should be quite simple. I think, you could almost eyeball these and it would still work anyway. There would be something.
Okay, great. So this is my 0.85. That looks about right. Ground almond.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this in.
We're gonna add grated carrot, which seems a bit strange for some people, but things like root vegetables are really good because they go very soft, they're sweet, but they also kind of hold things together and give a bit of structure as well. So I'm gonna just use a small carrot like this.
Okay. And what I'm doing, because I didn't have carrots, is I'm using butternut squash.
Ah, good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could also use parsnips, you could use sweet potatoes, any kind of root vegetable that has a sweetness to it you could use.
David, do you like this fancy device my mom, or sorry, not this, this, can I use this?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can use that. Definitely. Right. And you
Oh
want
my gosh, your kitchen and everything looks so good. I love it.
Well, that's a good thing about doing these lives. Like, first of all, I put a pair of trousers on, a pair of pants,
Yeah.
and also it means I clean my kitchen.
It's great. So was this the same setup that you had when you were on the show and you were doing all of your practice bakes?
Actually, I was in a different apartment, but it was very similar to this.
Okay.
It's quite tough to do the practices, actually, because you get a certain time in the tent, but in the tent, you have people washing up for you and like clearing things away from you. You also have like 5 of these bowls if you need them, whereas at home, you always have to try and wash up and change things around.
I have a question about the ovens. I have a conspiracy theory. Because you know how sometimes the ovens like would malfunction, or it was too hot or too cold, or it was different than your test bake?
Yep.
What is your take on the ovens that were used? Like, did you know the type to be able to practice with it? Like, how much variance is there in oven? As a non-baker here.
Before the show, I always thought that if I ever applied and got onto Bake Off, I would make sure I had the brand of oven that they have on the show. So you know about it. And obviously no one actually does. Well, maybe some people do. But they are very different, actually. They're like the ovens that they have on the show have a special thing called circotherm, which like brings the heat back around into the oven. And most ovens at home don't really have that. So they're definitely, and also the grill, when they had the grill function that we did for one of the cakes, it's just different on everyone's oven, so it's actually quite difficult to use. Plus, it's all digital. I'm used to these kind of little knobs and buttons, and so you just forget to switch it on just because you didn't know if you clicked a digital display.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How long does it take your oven to heat up? Mine did it in like 5 minutes.
Yes, 5. That's a good oven. Yeah, like 5 to 10 minutes should be absolutely fine. Yeah. Right. Have you got your grated squash in?
I've got my grated squash in. I'm about to put my sugar in, which you can't really see here, but I might have gone over with the sugar, but that's okay with me.
That's okay. So now we want to put in the apricots. Now, you can use whatever dried fruit you want. I just like apricots with this one because it sticks with the orange and it's...
Okay.
I just think of it as kind of goes with almond quite well. I know you're worried about your knife skills. I'm just going to use scissors. I'm just going to be a simple person.
Perfect. I still have my gloves on just in case, but I bought these apricots. So how do you recommend cutting them up, David?
So you want to get it quite fine like this.
Okay.
So I would suggest just putting like a single apricot down and then just slicing very thinly.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, LA streets right now.
I actually use scissors for quite a lot of things instead of knives. I do love, like, a good knife is my favorite kitchen implement, but sometimes scissors are just the best.
So we're doing 10 of these?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And just little vertical strips work?
Yes, little vertical strips, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Hello to everyone who's joining. Sorry?
Did you watch Bake Off from the start, from the first or second series or something?
I think I started with season 4, and then my sister and I, it's our tradition that we watch it together. She lives in San Francisco, and so we only binge it when we're together, so like over holidays or when we're visiting each other. And so
nice.
We kind of did 4 through 10, and then next time we see each other, I think we're going to go back, to 1 and start from the beginning. But
nice.
She was so excited that I'm baking with you right now. My sister's a doctor, so she had to work, but I know she's going to be excited to watch the recaps of this. And she was laughing because she knows how bad my baking and knife skills were. So I feel like I'm a high schooler with like a PhD student right now.
Does she bake?
She does more than me, yes. And she's made stuff for the hospital and she really enjoys it. But I think she's going to be mad at me for saying this. She's more of like a funfetti baker, I think, you know?
What's that?
You have funfetti.
No.
But, oh my gosh, someone in the comments explain funfetti. Funfetti is a type of like pre-made cake mix here in the US that it's very DIY. You just, I think, pour it out, put a little water in, but it's known because it has the little like tie-dyed rainbow in the sponge. Have you seen that before?
Yes, I have, yeah. It's actually an interesting thing. It's kind of coming in now, but we don't use a lot of cake mixes in the UK. And I've always known, I've had a lot of friends in the US for a long time. And you've been using cake mixes for quite a long time, haven't you? There's been companies where you just add some milk and beat it up, and then it's already the mix. Yeah,
it's very, I think it's very foolproof for someone like me. You just kind of pour it out and then, someone just wrote funfetti is America in a box. I love it.
Right, where are we up to now?
We are up to, sorry, I need to be doing more cutting, less talking. I'm on number 4.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to show you what mine looks like. It's quite sloppy.
Okay. I also want to give a shout out while we're baking to Nick, who is working the camera right now. And Nick, I'm excited to meet you when I come to London. Thank you.
It's great to meet you.
Good. Okay.
With the almond flavoring, by the way, this is like a slightly contentious thing for me because I like to use loads.
Okay, I love it.
You know when you have your favorite flavors and you have such, you start getting a tolerance to it. And so you need more and more of it to get like that hit. And so I'm at the level, like with almond, I'm at the level that's just like ridiculously high. I just need so much to satiate my desire of almond. I think.
Well, then I'm going to go right there with you. I want to do a little check on how I'm looking so far from my teacher.
Yeah.
Good? Okay, good.
Yeah. And that's absolutely fine. Maybe just mix it up a bit more.
Yeah, then we'll do that then.
But then it's fine.
Okay, perfect. It might need a little bit more juice, or aquafaba, that's what it's called. So I might take some from the saltier can too.
Yes, I think you could try, but also mine's a bit wet. Like it is probably better to be not quite as wet as mine.
Okay.
So probably
I haven't put my almond extract in either, so.
That's the thing. So I've got an almond extract from this posh one from Italy. So this one you kind of measure in drops. But if you've got the regular almond extract, you want to put about a teaspoon in.
Okay.
I'm just going to put quite a few drops.
A teaspoon.
Almond extract, I don't know if you know, doesn't really come from the almond nut.
Does it?
No, because if you think the smell of almond extract does not taste like an almond. This actually comes from the shell of the nut. And actually now they make it from the kernels of apricots. So like the central stone of an apricot, not... Yeah, the almond nut is something like in the UK we would call, technically we would call the almond flavor sweet almond, and this would be called bitter almond.
Bitter almond. It's interesting how there are certain flavors where there's a synthetic version or a syrup version that's completely different from what it actually tastes like. Like grape flavoring or cherry flavoring are quite different from the actual flavor itself.
And some of these you have to be careful with. Like I know, like vanilla flavoring. Vanilla essence is horrible. It's made from it's actually a byproduct from the paper making industry, and it just has one flavor to it. Whereas vanilla itself, like vanilla extract, is made from the vanilla pod and has like 250 different compound flavors. And yeah, I'm
learning so much. Thank you, David. So you said this was a teaspoon or a tablespoon?
Oh, a teaspoon. Okay. I would say. You could put half a teaspoon in and just smell it. Mine smells pretty strong right now.
Okay, let me see.
Now, do you have a baking tray or a baking sheet?
I do. That I do have.
And do you line, is yours one of these fancy ones? Or I always line mine with paper. I mean, this is actually old paper.
Okay.
I reuse it about 4 or 5 times.
I don't have lining, but how do you feel about me just oiling it up with some avocado oil?
Huh? Oh yeah, no, you could, yeah. Oh,
okay.
It's really good. These biscuits, It depends. If it's a really good non-stick tray, then
Okay.
it would be okay. But no, yeah, if you need to, if you just want to put a bit of oil on, that's absolutely fine.
Okay. Okay, I have my almond extract in. Do you want me to start mashing it up?
Yes. Yeah, give it a good mix now.
Okay, great. What I'm going to do is use my smoothie thing to mix it up. Creativity.
Good, yeah. Go for it.
Ooh, it smells amazing. Okay. Ooh, David, it smells really good.
What have you been doing with your hair, Raymond, whilst you've been in lockdown? Like in the UK, this has been a big thing. First of all, a lot of people have been doing DIY bleaching, but also haircuts, like not being able to go to the hairdressers when like I'm used to a nice skin fade that's very close and neat.
I feel that. So I normally do a fade too, but as you can see, it's really growing out here. I decided that, you know, what other time in your life do you get to test out what you would look like with long hair? So I'm actually just committing to growing it as long as I'm in quarantine. So I think I'm in that weird awkward phase now where it's like there's no shape to it whatsoever. There's lots of gel right now because I wanted to, you know, get a little dressed up for our bake-off. But yeah, I'm just, I did the research around like cutting my own hair, but as you can see with my baking skills, I don't trust myself with like scissors, and I live alone. I don't have a quarantine buddy, unfortunately. So I also was like, there's no way I'll be able to do the back. So we're just gonna grow it out.
And that's a good plan. Nick and I did each other's, but we were using these scissors, these kitchen scissors, because that's all we have.
You're using like baking scissors.
And a beard trimmer, and it went okay. It just took a lot longer, and it's kind of one of those things that's forgiving as long as there's distance. So as soon as you go close, you can start.
Well, I think your hair looks great. It looks like a fresh cut. I think you and Nick, like your walks and jogs outside and the way that you're baking and making, I think that you guys are really quarantining well. It's inspirational.
Are you allowed in the States or in LA? Are you allowed to go outside for exercise once a day?
We are allowed. You have to still practice social distancing, so 6 feet. But as of yesterday, we're required now to wear protective masks whenever we go outside. I think what some of us are confused about, because they weren't explicit, is like if you're running or doing more vigorous exercise, like do you still have to wear the mask? So I'm going to go for a run later today, and I might just try a bandana because I think it would be quite hard to run with like an actual elastic mask on. But
yeah, especially if it's hot. Like it's quite hot here for the UK. So a lot of people are wearing masks. Some people wear them anyway for pollution. When it's like cycling through London, commuting, people wear masks. So I guess some people are kind of used to it.
I think that we'll see after this that it might become a little bit more normalized to just wear a mask in everyday life and for air travel and things like that. I must say, David, I'm feeling very proud. It smells amazing. It looks professional. And my one concern is I think that I might have cut the squash and the apricots a bit too big.
That's okay. That'll be fine.
But
that'll be okay. They're going to be in the oven for a while. So now
I saw a comment that said wash your hands now because I was touching my hair. I definitely will before. Because are we going to be rolling these out with our hands?
Kind of, but my dough is really sloppy, so I'm going to do it with a spoon.
Okay.
So if you are like on proper bake-off style, then everyone weighs each of their things, so it's like a perfect weight. I'm going to weigh one just to see what it is, just so people can know. So about this is about 25 grams.
Brilliant. So I'll just eyeball it, and I think that
basically a loaded teaspoon.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to eyeball mine. I'm going to get my tray oiled up with some avocado oil. Are you an avocado oil, olive oil, or coconut oil?
You know, I'm not coconut. Very occasionally when I'm doing like a stir fry, I'll use coconut oil. But we don't really have avocado oil here. I think I've seen it once in a health shop, but I'm definitely an olive oil kind of guy.
Really? We have it. It's pretty popular, I would say, at least in California. There's all different kinds of brands. So I'm going to try to balance my tray up here and do this.
I'm sneaking on ahead. I'm just doing a couple of test runs.
Perfect. So to anyone who's joined, we are making, how do you pronounce amaretti?
Yeah, soft amaretti. Yeah,
soft amaretti biscuits.
Yeah, there's another version that's hard and crispy that people often get with a coffee.
Okay.
And also, you can, instead of using the almond extract, you can use amaretto alcohol spirit thing.
Oh, to add a little bit of spice.
I told you too late, yeah.
Yes. You could do that as the nighttime version, and I'll do the daytime version because it's only noon here. So I'd like to do a quick bake check with my instructor because it's feeling a little kind of like slimy.
Slimy's good. Slimy's okay.
Okay.
Let's have a look. Yeah, that's okay. I think that's okay.
Okay.
It depends, like, when they come out of the oven, sometimes they're kind of like they still look like balls, basically. Maybe they're kind of fall a little bit. Sometimes they spread quite a lot, but they're just kind of chewy. The aquafaba kind of sets like an egg white would. So you want them to be really soft and nice. And whether they fall and kind of go a bit flatter, that's okay. It's all about the flavor for me.
You know what? The gift of imperfection, I'm fine with whatever shape comes out as long as it's edible. So should I just start plating them on the pan then?
Yes. So you want to I make them into kind of balls just using a spoon.
Okay.
And I put them I actually roll mine in some extra sugar.
Okay.
You don't have to do this, but it gives it kind of like just a chewy edge to it once it's baked.
Ooh, that sounds lovely.
And also, once you put them in the sugar, even if it's a really soft mix like this, you can handle it.
Okay. Let's see.
So
So what is Nick's favorite thing that you bake?
Oh, Nick, what is your favorite thing that I bake?
I think maybe bread.
I mean, I do bake a lot of bread. We don't do a lot of cakes in this house.
Okay.
Like we do when I'm doing recipe development and things like that, but really we bake bread. But actually, Nick's been baking all the bread recently. He's learned how to do sourdough bread.
Oh, that sounds amazing. By the way, I see we have a special guest in the comments.
Who's this?
Raul.
Oh, hey, Raul.
I'm very geeked out that you both. There are 2 winners right now that are watching my amateur attempts baking. I'm trying.
You've got the last 2 winners of Bake Off.
I love it.
We could be the judges. I
know exactly. Who would be Paul and who would be Prue?
I think I'll be Paul.
You do? I think with the 2 of you, you would be the Paul. Yes.
Yeah. Which I mean, it pains me to admit, but yeah, I think I would.
I don't know that this bake is going to earn a handshake from me, but as long as it's edible, it's a good first try.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. Because often on Bake Off, there's like these incredible bakers, and then we sometimes produce things that is completely inedible, and no one wants to try it afterwards, like raw in the middle, etc. Who's your favorite ever Bake Off star?
Ooh. Well, you know, I was so excited to be baking with you because I just thought you were so precise and cool, calm, and collected, and I think a great visible role model for our community. And I just thought all your bakes are really clean and precise. So obviously, you know, I loved you, David. I think I'm a big super fan of Kim Joy. I loved all of her creative bakes and just the spirit she brought. And then I also loved on your season, Helena.
Yeah.
Because I just thought the creativity was so fun, and I love that whatever the brief was, she would always find a way to make it spooky. And I just thought she added so much personality to the workroom, it's not Drag Race, or the tent.
Oh, we wish it was Drag Race. Yeah, I think that's, like, I just like you, I love both Elena and Kim Joy when I was watching Kim Joy and when I was doing with Elena, for exactly the same reasons. Like, there's a lot of baking is very similar, and people have done things before, and people look for like little twists, but the 2 of them are so creative. Like, to actually do completely new things when you kind of think that everything's been done in baking. And Elena's got a book coming out, which is kind of like all Halloween type bakes, and I've seen a lot of them, and they are incredible.
That's amazing. I can't wait. And tell me more about your book.
Yeah,
I know David did not ask me to plug it, but I am genuinely curious.
It's coming out in August, and it's going to be coming out in the US as well. It's a kid's book. A kid's book of, like, because when I was a kid, we had a book that was like my first cookbook, and it had like silly recipes for baking and cooking and all kinds of things. And so I wanted to do one of those because I just think that's what got me into baking and cooking from such a young age. And so I wanted to be able to do a book for kids that it's kind of got every bake has a bit of or meal has kind of a healthy angle, but it's really good. It's so that people can bake and cook with their kids or their friends' kids, etc. And yeah, I'm really proud of it.
That's so awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I will be picking up a copy because, frankly, I think a kid's baking book would be a good, first step for me into this, because I'd like to show you my tray right now, which looks a little different than yours, but let's see. Let me see if I can flip the camera around. Hold on. I don't know if that's... Anyone, do you know if that's a feature in Instagram Live to be able to flip the camera around? I want to show everyone my tray.
Oh, I don't know, actually.
Let's see.
I'm sure it will. That's okay.
They're a little bit like, I don't know that, I think they're a little gooey, but you know what? We can see how they rise.
Gooey's okay. Gooey's definitely okay. So we're ready to go on with the first set. First set, I've only got one set anyway, because I did half.
Same.
I'm not sure I did half for all my ingredients, but anyway.
I might have unintentionally done half because I'm pretty much through all my ingredients as well.
Cool. Should we put them in?
Okay. Yes.
Right. Let's get these in.
I'm just getting my mitt. Okay.
My oven was at slightly higher temperature because we don't have any numbers on my oven. Like, we have to kind of guess the temperature.
Really?
Yeah, it's...
I feel like I need to take better advantage of my oven because I do have an electric one where you basically just I put 375 Fahrenheit in and it was there in 5 minutes.
You'd be good practicing for bake-off because that's like a bake-off style.
Okay. All right. I'm going to wish these good luck. Everyone take a look. I really did try, David, but I'm not... Okay. We're going to put it... They kind of might come out more like pancakes or...
That's fine. But also, you know what? Baking is like... It's trial and error. Like, I've had quite a few people talking about sourdough and being really disappointed when they've followed one of these sourdough step-by-steps and it's not gone well. But baking is trial and error and it's experience. And like, you want to have fun doing it. And like you said, if these are kind of soft, if they're a bit flat, whatever, as long as they're edible and they're tasty, then... I've
definitely had fun doing this with you and baking, and I think the grand reveal is going to be interesting. So I'm like relieved though now that part is done. I feel like the hardest part's over now. We can just chit chat.
We can just chat, yeah. You mentioned Drag Race. I remember seeing you on Drag Race.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh my gosh. It maybe was similar to how you felt walking into the tent for the first time, where I was such a fan of the show and loved it so much. I had a group of friends in LA that we'd watch every week and kind of created a whole experience around it, and just never conceived that I'd actually have the chance to walk the runway and be part of it because I'm not a drag queen. And so if you've seen the episode, I was just losing my mind excited. Like, didn't sleep the night before, ran into the workroom. Literally, they had to have me redo it because like the camera didn't pan fast enough because I just like got right in there. But it was so cool. I think also to just see behind the scenes how it's made and what it looks like and get a little bit of that like behind the scenes tea as well that you hear, little rumors and snippets about, but to actually experience it was really fun.
And that is fun because the thing is, you're a producer, aren't you? So you kind of get that kind of thing. Like for some people that would wreck it, like knowing kind of some of the secrets. Because for me, like Bake Off will never be the same for me to watch anymore, just because I know everything that happens behind the scenes and how it's made and things.
Are you able to share anything, or is it all secrets? I don't want to get you in trouble.
I mean, we're technically meant to keep things secret because we're kind of meant to give that illusion, but people always... Of course. I think it is. Of course. I think it's a nice thing to be able to kind of give some of the secrets away. So yeah, I tend to just say everything.
I'll give a little secret about Drag Race, which I've said before. I think people don't realize that when you're filming the runway day, it's such a long day. And if you're tucked, like you're not really able to use the bathroom for most of the day. And so that was a big surprise for me. Asia, who I did the makeover episode with, told me, you need to drink enough water so that your lips don't get really dry and crack, but just enough to kind of like keep your lips from doing that, because anymore, if you have to pee, like you might have to hold it for, a really long time, because we were tucked and wearing leotards. And so you know, when you're standing for judging, that process goes on for a while. And then when you're waiting to do the runway and all those type of things. So that was just a little thing that I hadn't really thought about when I watched the show, because it's all edited so tight. It's just like how long it takes to get ready and then, you know, stay in that position.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that has a tiny bladder. I go to the toilet all the time. Yeah, like even in Bake Off, they don't give you any time. If you need to go to the toilet, you have to run out of the tent, run across the grass to that building, go to the toilet, run back again. And I would do that 3 or 4 times in every bake. Like, it became a joke with all the other contestants. So
I have a question, and if you're not able to answer it, I understand, but like, do you get to eat each other? What do they do with all of the extra food? Like, do you get to try each other's bakes? Does the crew eat it? Like, how do they, and also how do they account for the fact that I'm sure there's a lot of time between when you finish and when they sample it? So if it like isn't warm anymore, or it gets kind of cold or soggy, like how does all that work?
Yeah, so there is first of all, you're right, like when it shows it finishing and then it's like the judges are coming around, that's sometimes up to 2 hours. For a lot of the bakes, that's kind of okay. They still stay quite fresh just for like a couple of hours. Some of them, like when you're doing ice cream, then that can be quite tough. Like I did a sorbet and I had no idea, because I finished this whole baked Alaska thing. And they're saying like, do you want to keep it in the fridge or the freezer or on the counter? It's like, I don't know. I've got absolutely no idea. But then with the food, when they finish, there's a lot of crew in there. And like you say, filming takes a long time. So people are hungry. And so when it's finished, and we have to leave the tent because we have to go and do our interviews, someone goes around and fights off the crew to be able to take a portion of each of them to take it back to our green room so that we can all try each other's. If a bake is particularly good, sometimes none of that comes back because the crew have just, they've seen the judging, they know that's good, and they descend. Yeah. And sometimes there's a lot left of some people's, and that's not a very good feeling.
I can imagine. It must smell so good in the tent.
Yeah, but you know,
I'm like drooling just watching it and imagining, but I bet it's so incredible.
Yeah, but you get quite sick of that smell because it tends to be quite sweet and sickly. So often when it's finished, you don't really want to eat other people's. You want to taste it to see what it's like, but actually you're looking for something more savory or something that's just totally different from what we've been doing in the tent.
Did it change the way that you think about baking? Like certain smells or pressures are associated with the show now for you, or are you able to kind of still? I don't know if that question makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of the baking I did in the tent I don't do a lot of that baking. Like a lot of it I was doing for the first time. With the intensity of the practicing and then the show, there's some things like, I don't particularly like making meringue. And a lot of just like really sweet sugary things. Just those smells and those flavors, I'm just like, oh yeah. But then I'm not that into, like, I love bread and certain kind of like fruit cakes and things like that. I'm not really into like the really super sickly cakes and things.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Nick? Yeah, so let's have some questions. Just in case anyone has tuned in, I'm David from Bake Off, and I am baking with Raymond Braun, who is a storyteller. I love the way you said that, actually, because your YouTube documentary, State of Pride, I really enjoyed watching that. And one of the things I liked the most was how you just let people tell their stories. Like, so often people have an agenda and things, but that's what I took from the most, was that you just let other people tell their stories, and you facilitated that.
That means a lot to me, David. Thank you. That's how I've tried to approach a lot of the work that I've done in this space, is just whatever maybe access or introductions I can provide, but then just let people have the platform and tell their stories. And for those who haven't seen the documentary, we took a road trip across the United States in honor of the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, which is what kind of birthed Pride in the United States. And we looked at what Pride means to young people from really big cities like San Francisco and New York to really small rural towns that had their first or second Pride with 50 people attending. And so I think it was a really interesting snapshot of what it means to be LGBTQ in America, and how Pride, I think, can put a lot of different questions and controversies around our community in focus, because the way a community responds to Pride tells you a lot about their values. And so that was such an incredible project for me to work on. And when we were editing, we looked at a bunch of different models, because I interviewed everyone in front of the camera and behind the camera, and I had my own experiences that were being filmed. But at the end of the day, it was like, I want to set up and kind of provide some context and be able to like synthesize one Pride versus another. But it was really just about getting behind the camera and letting people tell their stories and having you enter their world, as opposed to me like editorializing it for you. And
are you going to do some global ones now and come? It'd be so interesting to see how Pride is celebrated like in different countries around the world? I would love to see
Well,
that.
David, I can't say anything, but global has been definitely explored. And, you know, if everything happening in the world right now wasn't happening, I might have been seeing you at some prides on your side of the pond. So definitely, I think the project is something that we're all really passionate about. And I want to continue to explore how we can continue, you know, telling stories from people all over the world. Because there's so many different prides. There's so many, you know, different stories. And we just scratched the surface, really.
Mm. Oh, nice. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions, Nick, from people out there?
Yeah, there's a few questions. There's a few questions from the same person, so I'm just gonna throw them out there. I think they're kind of like in the same vein. So, we have any tips for a young gay person? How did you deal with homophobia, and when did you know you were gay?
Cool. Big questions.
Yeah. Do you want to start, David, or do you want me to take it?
I would say I'll just start with one of them. Well, first I'll just say when I knew I was gay. For me, I kind of knew, I can't remember the time I didn't know. That's the other thing for me. If someone says, when did you know you were gay? I don't remember a time not knowing and thinking that I was attracted to anyone else. Because I guess some people, a realization comes later on, but for me, it's just as long as I can ever remember. And then how to deal with homophobia. One thing that's helped for me is to realize that a lot of homophobia comes from ignorance. So I would sometimes be very, very judgmental about people who are being homophobic. And then when I realized that some people are doing it just because they're nasty and it's really horrible, but sometimes people are doing it just because they've been brought up a certain way, they've never met people who are queer before. And so kind of sometimes just trying to have a conversation to find out where people are coming from can be really helpful, because if you attack back, it doesn't become very constructive. But sometimes I've been quite angry, and then I've calmed down and had a conversation with the person, and it's been really interesting.
Mm-hmm. I feel similarly. I think there's a Maya Angelou quote, hurt people, and I genuinely believe if you are a kind of happy person who has meaning in your life and confidence, you're not spending your time trying to tear down other people. So a lot of times if someone's being homophobic or hateful towards me, I just remind myself that that person themselves is in pain. And I think it helps kind of contextualize not taking that on because you know it's about them and not you. To the question about advice for someone who's young or when do I know that I'm gay, I think those questions might be connected. I'm guessing maybe that the person who asked that might be questioning their sexuality and is trying to figure out and navigate. And I think my biggest piece of advice I would offer is to be patient and kind to yourself. I think that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves around timelines. And when you look on social media and in media in general, there are so many more LGBTQ people who are out and proud and living their lives, which is incredible and inspiring. But I think sometimes it can also make people feel pressure, like, I'm not there yet. Is there something wrong with me? Or, you know, every situation is different, and the most important thing is your safety and your well-being. And so sometimes it's not time for someone to come out just yet if their family might have a reaction that could put them at harm, or if they're in a community where it isn't safe. So just be patient and find people who you can trust and confide in. I think no matter where you are in the world, there are good people, and there might be that one teacher or that one friend of your parents or that one, you know, person that you've met at school or church who you know is supportive because they posted about LGBTQ stuff on social media or the way that they've spoken about before. And I think that the first person that you come out to should be someone who you're almost 100% sure is going to embrace and accept you immediately, because you need that affirmation and that hug. And then that person can be a partner for you in navigating the more difficult conversation. So I always say, choose someone first who you're almost positive is going to be a champion for you and a support system for you. And then they can help you, you know, brainstorm and practice for the more difficult conversations.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, because I came out like when I was about 30, and that I still had a very fulfilling life before then. And I don't, part of me thinks like, oh, would it be better if I'd come out earlier? And then part of me thinks like, no, that was the time. Like there was reasons before that I didn't. And yeah, I also think that if someone's asking the question because they're young and gay and have come out and they just wanted to know how to live as a young gay person, I would say one thing, don't feel like you've got to be something. Don't feel like you've got to fit a certain stereotype of what a gay person is. or a young gay person is, because I definitely felt the pressure to do that and kind of did things that made me unhappy, or because I felt like I had to do something a certain way. And it's like, you've got your personality, you like and dislike certain things, you want to appear in certain ways, like that's just up to you. Don't feel like you've got to conform.
That's such good advice. I love that. Absolutely.
But wear a rainbow t-shirt.
I've got a little rainbow treat I'm going to bring out once we're done with our bakes to celebrate, and maybe mine's going to deflect from maybe the misshape of my actual final product. So we'll get a little stunty with it.
Nice. Any more questions, Nick?
We had a couple people asking how you guys met or how you guys know each other.
Well, I can start. So I am a huge fan of Great British Bake Off, and I kind of singled out David from early on of like, I think he's going to win. He's so talented. I loved it. And I loved the first time they showed you and Nick together. One thing as an aside, like one thing I love about the show, I think, is how it's such a diverse cast and they have so many people with different experiences, but it's all just part of the storytelling and they don't make a big deal about any individual identity. It's just talking about your life and your relationships and your passions and your hobbies. And I personally love the tone that they take in kind of showing queer people on Great British Bake Off. So anyways, I followed David on Instagram and was just a fan, honestly, liking his photos and following the journey. And then a couple weeks ago, I got a DM. Take it away, David.
Yeah, I think for me, I remember watching a documentary, and I think it's probably at that time where when like the community that we live in, you kind of search for certain things. Like I love finding really good queer films and documentaries and things like that. So I watched your documentary and I just absolutely loved it. And then also saw you on Drag Race and other things as well. You've done so much. That's why for me it would be hard to say like this is what Raymond does. So I followed all these things, and then when I was thinking about doing things like these lives, I was just thinking I want to do a live with someone that I want to speak to, and that's someone that I would want to ask questions to and just hang out with. And so I messaged you.
Yep. And I was really excited, and I texted my sister immediately because if you were on the live earlier, it's the tradition that my sister and I watch the show together, and we live in different cities, so it's always like a lovely event. It's during a holiday or a birthday or a trip together that we watch the show. And I said, oh my gosh, David wants to bake with me. And she was laughing because I am, as you'll see with my final product, I'm not the best in the kitchen. I'm trying and I'm learning, and I've definitely been practicing in quarantine. But yes, so I said, I'll take any opportunity to bake with you and learn from you. And it's very cool to get tutored from, the best.
Mine do not look great either, just to let you know, to make you feel better. Like they're going to taste great, but they don't look fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing to say with this is that we did not follow the recipe. The recipe really, you are meant to whisk. You're meant to whisk the aquafaba, or if you're using egg whites, until it's kind of that stage you do meringues, and then you're meant to fold all the ingredients in. I think that's because it kind of holds it all together a bit more. I was just thinking, doesn't matter.
Why not?
But this
it's Saturday, we're experimenting.
Yeah,
that's exactly. My fault though, because you were being supportive in solidarity with me because I don't have a whisk.
Well, also it's very noisy to do something like this with whisk.
Yeah, that's a beautiful kitchen setup, I have to say.
It's a very small, like our whole flat is just, our apartment is just this, and then like a little space over here, and that's it. But there's nice windows, and it's quite compact, and it kind of has everything you need. It's not very big, but
it looks like a home filming, home cooking studio. It's very professional, chic, well designed, well lit. Mine over here, I wish that I could flip my camera on so you could see my setup, but like the phone is basically propped up right against a wall, and then I have my like little island on this side, and then the actual oven over there, which by the way, mine's starting to smell really good. How about yours?
Yeah, mine is starting to smell good. I didn't actually time. Did you do any timer?
16.
I did. No, I didn't. I thought you were going to do it.
Well, yeah, Nick's doing it. It's 16 minutes. I'm also very hot in here.
Yes.
It's been a very warm day today, and now I'm stood next to an oven. I'm just going to quickly look at mine properly.
What did you? I'm going to check mine too.
They're okay.
I think mine burnt.
Burnt?
Yes.
Okay, well, they might be ready to take out then.
I'm going to take it. I feel so bad. I feel like I failed you. I'm going to definitely take mine out, and I will just let you see them.
Cool.
Okay, let's see.
I'm going to come around to the side of the camera because my camera doesn't...
Oh my God. Oh no. I would be the first out on Bake Off.
Let me see.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Try a little bit.
Let's try to, maybe we can troubleshoot what went wrong so we can help people learn from whatever mistake I made.
The oven for mine are at 170. Like 170 UK. Oh, shit.
I put 375 Fahrenheit for mine.
Yeah, so that's the same. One thing, you did say you put more sugar in, did you? You think you put more
Yes.
sugar? Yeah, so sugar burns very quickly. Like that's burns more, so it might be to do with that.
You know what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scoop the little parts that aren't burned and make a little. I'm gonna make something to present to you.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, David.
This is good. The other thing is, they're best left if you, like, I've got mine out now, it's best to leave them to cool slightly before putting them onto a tray, because when cookies and biscuits and everything come out of the oven, they're very soft, and as they cool, they kind of set a bit more, so then they're easier to move.
Yours looks so good. I wish I could try one.
Oh, they taste so good. Now, when you're in London,
Yes,
we'll do it again.
We'll have to do this again in London, where we can do it together and you can actually show me around like how to do it.
Yes, and then we'll put photos up and everyone will see how amazing they look when we use a whisk.
Perfect. But you know what? It's a good first try.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still have some ingredients left over, so I can experiment on my own tonight too.
But the stuff from the middle will definitely be edible. Just don't eat the black bits.
Yeah, it looks good.
Do we have any more questions, Nick? I don't want to like miss other people. If people got questions.
There's a lot of questions, but they're kind of like going in the comments. There's one that I just saw here earlier, which is how to deal with situations where people want to define you because of you being gay.
So is the question about like? So what was it again? Sorry.
I guess like when people like stereotyping. So like, how do you deal with situations where people want to define you because of your sexuality? I guess.
I think for me, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but I feel like our community is as diverse as humanity in general. And like David was saying, there's no one way to be gay. There's no one way to be LGBTQ. And I don't mind that people kind of acknowledge my gayness, because I think that whenever each one of us is living our truth and kind of showing distinctly who we are, there are different people that connect and resonate with us. And so the more of us that are kind of out and living our lives, the more people that can kind of connect with or see us, that I think then creates the ripple wave of acceptance. Because when our community is personalized and it goes from being a like thing that you hear about to someone in your community that you know, or a friend or a family member or a colleague, that's I think where a lot of the empathy gets formed and how we create allies out of people who aren't part of the community. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but of course you don't want to be like reduced to stereotypes or negative stereotypes or have it be the only facet of your identity that people focus on. But I also feel empowered to be part of this community and think that whenever we come out, we're all kind of contributing towards helping, you know, with visibility and moving things forward.
Yeah, I agree, because I think it's not, there's so many different parts to an identity. There's not one thing. But I've been in that situation in the past where if I feel that if I try and defend it, to try and speak out to say, this isn't me, I'm not like this, it also makes it sound like that's negative. It's like, that's not negative. It's just, everyone is very different. And it's very hard when people think that a gay person is this, a trans person is this, a bisexual person is this. It's like, it's not true. Everyone's just their own individual. But yeah, it's tough. Any more last questions in? Because I think
I see a question from Texas Mountain Mama. This is for you, David.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can answer it too. It says your best/favorite baking memory. Mine is this, because it's my third time baking, and even though I might not have done it as well as I'd like, the conversation was well worth it.
Well, I have loved this as well. And like you can say, like having perfect bakes at the end is not the point of being in the kitchen, it's meant to be kind of meditative and like time to yourself, time with other people, and it should just be enjoyed in general. I would never be able to pick because I've got so many good ones. I think learning, like going right back and like learning to bake with my mum will have been one of the really good things because that was just so much fun. She made it so fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah. So just as a finish, like mine are kind of, they're still not set yet because they haven't cooled down, but it's very soft and inside it's kind of a bit chewy.
Looks amazing.
It is exactly like a soft amaretti biscuit with bits of apricot. So it's very tasty. So next time, I'll definitely have these made for you.
I'm going to plate mine and have a little bite with a spoonful. Let's see.
Some people, when they've made them, they'll actually dust them with ice and sugar as well.
I have enough, you know, the center isn't burnt, so I'm just going to try a little bit. It kind of looks like bread pudding.
That's not a bad thing.
Ooh. Oh, that is good. Okay. It might not look good, but that was really good.
Do you know what? You could also put this on oatmeal. Like you could make, if you make porridge or oatmeal, you could put those bits on, crumble them on top.
I'm gonna do a last presentation so people can see.
You know what?
I think this is a good lesson too for people. Even if you mess up your bake and if it's burnt, you can scrape a little bit off the middle and still get some great flavor from it.
Nice. So, this has been baking. I mean, one day it'd be really nice for you to teach me something that I can't do, like YouTube and doing videos. It's just like a nightmare for me. But we have started a channel, and so I'm going to put this up on our YouTube channel as well.
Awesome.
So that people can rewatch it if they want to.
Great. My brilliant bake can be immortalized forever.
Yeah. I'll do some editing. Actually, I don't know how to edit. We'll also put the recipes back up. I'll put the recipes back up on my story in case people want to give these a go. And it's probably a good idea to whisk the aquafaba. But
yes, what have we learned? Whisk, less sugar, and I should do a better job of checking my bake mid-bake to see if it's starting to burn or crisp.
Actually, that's true, yeah, because I didn't, It's probably, I always look, because I hate doing times. I always like to see what it looks like or smells like, feels like, so yeah. Raymond, this has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you get on and enjoy your day. It's evening time here, so we're going to have our dinner. But yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant chatting with you before and then doing this. I hope everyone else has enjoyed it as well. And please come to London, and we will definitely want to come to LA at some point.
I can't wait to come visit you when all this is over. Thank you so much for having me, David, and much love to you and Nick. And I would love to do this again soon, and you've inspired me to learn baking a little bit more. So thank you.
Cool, perfect, brilliant. Thanks, Raymond.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Have a good day.